We're back on the show floor. Look, world champion Anthony Douglas. What's up, Patrona? And then world champion
You had these?
Pete Licata. And David Makin. It's just like we're all with like famous. I'm not famous, but these guys.
Yeah, someone's famous here. I'm making a lovely wash geisha from Colombia, roasted by Veneziana Coffee Roasters in Melbourne, Australia. Part of our Pinnacle series, and it is awesome. So I know you talked about this one before. I had some questions. Okay, so this dripper in particular comes with a mesh basket you can reuse, right? I use it at home all the time because I run out of paper filters. Right? I run out, and so I need something I can brew with this, and it actually makes really tasty flavor. So you can use it 3 different ways standard. Use it just a paper filter like a V60. You can use it with this by itself. It's a flat bottom brew. You can use them together to clean up the sort of small amount of sediment you get from the reusable filter. Right?
I came by to see if you had any more of these for me.
There you go. All right. Wait.
The mesh is about 60 micron. It's not the smallest mesh we tried. It's actually a bit bigger so that the water could actually flow through it. In reality, like you get a little tiny bit of sediment that comes through, but it's pretty minimal. And you don't get a grit from it. It just has a little bit more texture to it. One of the ideas originally was to do a double filtration, right? So you can do a flat bottom extraction, filter it through the paper filter underneath, and get the best of both worlds, right? I feel like it's getting to the end of the show right now. It's all gone. Wow, that was fast. You're like, go. So with this one, because it's not touching the side, like you don't have any contact with the ceramic, you can use a really hot temperature, and it's actually good to use a really hot temperature for it because you'll kind of maximize your extraction without getting over extraction with it. If you have the ceramic, it gets too hot, your water is straight off the boil, it's going to end up tasting a bit over extracted and dry in the finish at different times. Do what you got to do. All right, so reusable filter.
What's the coffee amount?
The amount that I'm using? 18 grams. 18 grams, we're going to do about 300 mils of water. This is a very popular booth at this time of the show, apparently. With a reusable filter like this, you don't want to wash the edge of the filter because you don't really want to get a bypass. You don't want to, because you'll get a massive bypass if you wash the reusable filter. So I usually just use a very steady pour. It's not too aggressive, not too turbulent, because I don't want to dislodge too many fines. I don't need more fines. It's actually a relatively slow flow of water through the filter. Just gonna get up to my 300 mils of weight of water and be good. Now, fun little secret on how to make the coffee bed flat. You ready?
Just that shape.
Thank you.
God, yeah.
How long did it take you to figure this out?
Yeah, I don't know.
So many.
A few times. So like the water's like the coffee bed is popped up and it's got water through it, and so it's really fluid. So you just gotta jiggle it a little bit, and that's all it takes, right? You don't gotta pick it up and swirl it, and do all the craziness, right? Just it'll flow through nice and steady. I'm shooting for 2.5 to 3 minutes on my extraction time to get full drawdown there. And then a little bit more water a little bit more coffee will be in the filter itself because I'm doing a double filtration here. So our main drawdown has finished, right? Our extraction drawdown is finished. I say the coffee bed is nice and flat. You got a little ring of coffee that's sitting on the edge because I didn't wash the exterior of the mesh, right? Which is just fine. Lock it out. You can just wipe that out with a towel and it's perfectly fine. Fun part with this is we've already done the extraction, so I'm not worried about anything with this little bit. So in reality, I can just kind of pull it together and just force the liquid through, because all I'm trying to do is separate the fines out of the liquid.
Yeah.
So why did you, when you were redoing this W60, why did you get this kind of like conical shape? This kind of bulbous shape.
Well, the designers wanted to emulate sort of a teacup shape, right? So they wanted to get something that was a little bit different than it's just a simple triangular cone shape. And we still wanted to use the V60 paper. So that's where we kind of came to, well, we can make it a little bit bigger. I also wanted the paper to fit flush, because one of my biggest pet peeves with any dripper is that the filter sits above the edge of the actual dripper. And it's just annoying to me more than anything.
Sample box.
Oh, cool. Oh, so yeah, they wanted to kind of make a bit more of a beautiful sort of aesthetic design to it. The ridges are a little bit deeper to hold the paper in there, but we needed to be big enough that you could fit the basket over the top to get on top of the paper filter as well. But that's pretty much it, right?
Oh, right.
So you've got a flat extraction, filtered to remove the sediment, and tasty coffee. But the other, so I said versatility before, right? So you can use it those three ways: paper filter, mesh filter, both. We also have the Kai Jansen Oily Bloom,
So sorry about that.
which is one that someone came up with. I wanted people to be able to experiment with it. So we already have one of the producers in Panama from Jansen Coffee.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
Good to see you. Andrew, nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you, man.
Hey, by the way,
I'll see you.
really beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
The idea is that you can play with it, right? You can do different things with it. So he made an oily bloom, right? So you start with the mesh by itself, and you have, it takes a little bit of working with the different scales, or with the scale and some things to flip it. But you start with just the mesh and you do the bloom, so all the liquid comes through and all the oils and everything comes out. But before it starts to really get any sediment that comes through, and before you start your main pouring, you swap it over to a paper filter and you do the rest through the paper filter. So you get all the oils at the beginning, and it ups the body, it ups the intensity. It's like actually really tasty, but super clean. It's a great way to do it. So that was kind of the idea, though. It's just like you can play with this multiple different ways. You can do a lot of different things with it, and I want people to experiment and find new ways to do stuff, or find their better way to take that it tastes the way that they like. Because there's something I think that a lot of people don't do these days, is think outside the box a bit, and they rely too much on, hey, this is this person's recipe, as opposed to this is my recipe. It's like, make your own recipe, make your own path, because that's how I got to where I am. That's how you've gotten to where you are. It's just like, hey, I'm going to experiment with this, I'm going to try it, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I'm going to learn something about it, and I'm going to be better, more professional, and more knowledgeable for it.